Welcome to this week's episode of the Lido Loop. I'm your host, Jack McCraw. With me, as always, my good friend, Jesse Barboza. How we doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Hey, what's on the show today, Jesse?
Yeah, it looks like NCL is rebranding. There's still no arrest for the death of Anna Kepner, and Carnival is tired of your bad kids.
Yeah, I think we're all a little bit tired of those bad kids running around the ship. Well, we have that, and we might have some breaking Universal news on land and somewhere else. Stick around for that and much more on this week's episode of
The
the Lido
Lido
Loop.
Loop.
So just like with every episode, we like to start the show with the latest and greatest in the cruise world. Now, Jesse, I'm hearing that there is a major cruise line that's in the process of rebranding.
Yeah, so NCL started the new year off with the new president, and he has made a lot new ads. It seems like so they changed their colors from blue and white to black and white on their ad, and then they came up with this new. I don't even know what you would call it, but this new ad has people from the looks like the 1700s dancing, and then they rebranded a phrase. It says it's different out here.
So I wonder, do you think that has anything to do with America turning 250 years old this year?
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm thinking it is. I'm thinking that they're trying to rebrand for America, and they're trying to go with a Norwegian title and just go with NCL instead.
It's definitely an interesting change. I saw the logo and I saw the ad as well. I mean, it's almost a fever dream of guys dressed up in the colonial era on a cruise ship dancing. I almost wonder if our forefathers would approve of that ad. I mean, hey, I think they knew how to party back in the day. It'll be interesting to see what NCL does throughout the rest of the year. I have noticed a total increase in cruise ads on TV, in email. I mean, and NCL, I think, is just joining the party as far as trying to get more people to sail on their ships, especially Americans. So, Jesse, I also hear that there is an update in the Anna Kepner case.
I mean, there's probably not really an update, but it's been 2 months since the death of Anna Kepner. Y'all may have heard the news a couple months ago about an 18-year-old who was found dead in her stateroom on the Carnival Horizons.
Yes, there has been videos circulating about that case, and it's very sad for sure because, young girl lost her life on what was supposed to be a fun family vacation. But I'm hearing that the alleged suspects can't seem to remember what happened exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely sad because I mean, I'm sure the family definitely wants justice for their child that they lost.
Hopefully that there is a resolution to this case, and of course, prayers with that family. And another thing that's really circulating out there is that Carnival is really stepping up on its curfew for kids. Is that true, Jesse?
Yeah, so someone posted a letter from the Carnival Elation saying that their kids were out past curfew, and the next time it happens, they will be charged a $500 fine.
$500 seems like a steep fine for your kid to be out, especially if you can't really control them. They're like, oh, hey, I wanted to go grab some pizza. But I understand also why Carnival is doing this is because they don't want kids just running around the ship at all hours.
Yeah, I definitely think Carnival's trying to change their image with their bad characters and bad people on their cruise ship to make them seem more family friendly.
Yeah, no more, 15, 16-year-olds trying to sneak into the club late at night either. But yes, Carnival, I applaud them for trying to be a little bit more strict and trying to make their image a little bit more family friendly. It does seem a little severe to fine them that amount, but I think it's a step in the right direction for Carnival to overall change their brand and be a lot more consumer focused. Another big brand making some updates is Royal Caribbean, and I'm hearing they're about to come out with a new class of ships. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so they're coming up with a new class. They're calling it the Discovery class. So apparently there is going to be a mid-class ship. So it's not going to be like these Icon class like they currently have. and they're not going to be small either, which makes sense because I want to ask you, Jack, what do you think the life cycle of a cruise ship is? How many years?
I know the Carnival Freedom has still been kicking for a while. I'm gonna say 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. So 30 years is usually the life cycle of a cruise ship, the max.
Same about a roller coaster.
Yeah. So if they keep making mega ships, they're going to go out of business because not all ports can accept mega ships, which makes sense why they would bring back the smaller and mid-size to replace the older ships.
And do you think that they would be a little bit more cost effective to make instead of these giant mega ships, and that way they could have more sailings overall?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people who don't really like the large ships because they think that they're too crowded and they don't like all the people. A lot of people actually like the smaller ships because it's a lot more easier to get around.
And you would think with those smaller ships that they can maybe sail a little bit more frequently, and fuel costs would be a lot less instead of filling up these behemoth ships to go across the Caribbean and everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, so as soon as Royal Caribbean releases more information about this Discovery class, we'll be sure to let you know.
Now, switching gears over to the theme park news, there is a major ride closing at Islands of Adventure. And Jesse, I want to ask you this. What would be the one ride that you need to ride every time you go to Islands of Adventure?
I mean, it's definitely got to be the Jurassic Park River ride.
That's also one of my favorites as well. It's my favorite non-roller coaster. But yes, that's the big news, is that the Jurassic Park River Adventure will be closing for the foreseeable future and may be out as long as a year. Now, if you were going to Universal Studios Islands of Adventure, would that affect your trip, Jesse?
Yeah, that would definitely affect my trip because we rode it twice this past year when we went there this year. Um, and I definitely noticed that it definitely does need to get refurbished because we went on there. I know there's one dinosaur that pops out of the water. All we saw when we floated by it, I guess you can say, is just bubbles coming up.
Yeah, I don't think the dinosaur wanted to come out and say hello that day. But yes, there's a big Stegosaurus animatronic that's getting all moldy. His tail's in the water. It looked like the Brachiosaurus at the beginning of the ride, barely moves. They almost look like static figures at this point. So the rumor is that the Jurassic Park River Adventure is just getting an update, some tender loving care, new animatronics. Universal has not come out and said anything about what's actually being replaced or if they're retheming it to Jurassic World. But from the rumors I'm understanding is that it's just getting the love it deserves, and it will likely be out most of, if not all of 2026.
So, just a little fact here, Jack, when do you think that ride opened up at?
Unfortunately, I already know the answer to that question. It opened with the park in 1999, so the animatronics have not updated and have not changed since then, so it's time. It's time that Universal finally puts the money and effort into updating the Jurassic Park River Adventure. It's first that one, and the next one is going to be Cat in the Hat. Not confirmed, but make it happen. Those animatronics are in much, much worse shape. Another major story that's happening out of Florida is that Disney is announcing a massive deal for Florida residents. So normally, a trip to Disney World any day in February would cost you, starting off, around $179 before taxes. If you want to go to Magic Kingdom, that price goes up to about $199 per day. Pretty insane prices. But if you're a Florida resident and you want to do a 4-day ticket option, it's only $64 a day. And if you want to do a 3-day, that's only $79 per day. That is close to 2000s Disney ticket prices that we are probably not going to see for a very long time. And it is a good thing that Disney is reaching out to those Florida guests, knowing that, hey, this is their core establishment. International and out-of-state guests will always go to Disney and just pay whatever it costs to get there. But it's good they're getting their Florida residents some deals. For you guys listening in Florida, the deal will begin on January 12th and end in April 18th. Now, does that make you want to go get a Florida license and go get some Disney tickets, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous of the Florida residents because I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna look forward to paying one between $179 to $200 per ticket to go to Disney World for a day. I mean, comparing that to Six Flags, I mean, what does it cost for a season pass at Six Flags?
Well, if you want to get the platinum pass or the passport pass, I think is what they call it, that's only $145. You can go to any of the Six Flags slash Cedar Fair parks in the country.
Yeah, and that's the whole season. So, what all parks are included in that?
Well, in Texas alone, we have access to 6 different parks with that passport pass, with both Schlitterbahn parks, 2 Hurricane Harbor, Six Flags Over Texas, and Six Flags Fiesta Texas. It will pretty much get you into any single Six Flags slash Cedar Fair park. They're all one company now, but anything under the Six Flags Entertainment Corporation umbrella, you can go to for that $145 price. That is the steal of the century, especially if you're an avid theme park goer like us.
Yeah, I think that like the theme parks, especially Six Flags, they don't might not update their stuff, and they might have some stuff that is run down compared to Universal or Disney. But with a price tag of $145 for a whole season, you can't really beat that.
I mean, imagine if you're making a trip out to LA, you get to go to Magic Mountain and Knott's Berry Farm now for all one price. Before you have to pay for both of them. And that is a much better value deal to do that instead of paying nearly $200 to go to Disney World or Universal. But Universal might be making some money elsewhere from us because the latest rumors suggest there could be a new cruise line coming to Galveston in the not too distant future.
Yeah, picture this. You're going to Universal, but not a park. You're going on a ship.
So you're telling me that there could potentially be a Universal cruise line coming soon?
Yeah, the rumor has it that the Port of Galveston has signed an NDA with a unnamed company to start a cruise line. It planned on starting in the year 2031.
I could already see the jokes now of them competing with Disney, and instead of a Mickey Mouse meet and greet, they're going to have minions on the ship, and you're going to see Gru as the captain. There are so many different Universal intellectual properties you can put on the ship.
So Universal and Disney are already big competitors. What do you think the themes are going to be on this new ship?
You have to have Jurassic World. I'm just thinking of hot tubs instead of the the tide pools. You're going to have the tide pools, but there's going to be plants around it, maybe some dinosaurs. Universal might take the extra step and get some animatronic dinosaurs, but that's just the dinosaur nerd in me. You also got to have Harry Potter in there, whether it be maybe a wand shop experience or the moving pictures that they have in the halls. There is so many different ways you could theme it. And of course, for the kids, you have Minions, you have Gru. Now that DreamWorks is owned by Universal, or how about this, instead of Jurassic Park hot tub, you have a Shrek Swamp hot tub.
Oh yeah, that would be absolutely. And talking about the Harry Potter, I definitely can see there would be different spots, just like how Universal, you can use your wand at.
Yeah, they might even have a casino and you can use your wand and just use the slot machines that way on Buffalo. Another thing that I could really see working is Disney is very good at the guest experience when it comes to, meeting their characters and getting families involved. So Universal could be right up there with that alley. But also what Disney doesn't have that Universal does is that they know how to be scary. And now imagine this. It's late at night. There may be a casino on the ship, maybe not, but they're got to at least have one haunted house on the ship. Universal is absolutely famous for their Halloween Horror Nights. You can't tell me that they're going to use the Halloween Horror Nights on the ship and just have a walkthrough maze or something. Maybe even theme it to like Stranger Things and have a Demogorgon pop out at you. I just really think the possibilities are endless for how you can universalize a cruise ship.
Oh yeah, I definitely think the show's entertainment's going to be next to the best level, near Broadway level musicals. I think that they're going to be fantastic. I'm expecting there to be like a lot more like character meets. I'm sure you can meet SpongeBob, you can meet Harry Potter, you can meet all the different characters that Universal has.
One thing to note that they can actually get really creative with their old properties too. You're already on a ship. How about Jaws? I mean, have an animatronic shark, swim right next to you. I mean, maybe they have it under the ship or something, but that's being way overly creative. Back to the Future is another big property that a lot of people miss at the parks that they could bring back. Maybe you can have some sort of motion simulator ride and kind of actually going to rides. Disney does have very elite water rides on their ship. I would think that Universal could be do the same thing as well, especially because they have some amazing rides at Volcano Bay.
Do you think that they're gonna incorporate Volcanic Bay into the ship and name that like their water park?
That would make a lot of sense. Maybe they build a mock volcano on the ship. We're going through so many different hypotheticals for how you could universalize a ship that a Volcano Bay themed water park on a cruise ship it's not out of the realm of possibilities. That's how insane this concept is.
And I think the kids areas, I could definitely see Minions being like a the kids area for like a little splash pad or whatever.
You brought up the kids, and that's a really good point because I think Universal is starting to try to cater to children as well, especially with the opening of their kids' theme park. So they could use characters they already own the rights to on the ships as well, like Trolls, Shrek, Puss in Boots, Camp Jurassic, Minions, of course, and SpongeBob. Kind of thinking of a SpongeBob, this might segue into a good way to talk about food. Can you imagine if they had an actual Krabby Patty on the cruise ship?
Yeah, they would definitely could call it Krusty Krab. That's like a easy name.
And just don't forget the pickles.
Yeah. So what other foods do you think they might have?
So as a Universal enthusiast, it is a must do to get butterbeer every time I'm in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. That or pumpkin juice. So I think those two are must. You could also get really creative with the sort of cocktails that you make. Like imagine having a green alcoholic beverage themed to Shrek, or even a yellow Minions themed drink. But I want to ask you this. Can you imagine what the steakhouse would look like on a Universal cruise ship?
Oh yeah, you would definitely have to have a steakhouse. I definitely think that it would be themed like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. I mean, they're not gonna have no ribeye. They're gonna have it's gonna be called a T Rex.
The T-Rex ribeye. Just in case it doesn't fill you up, you might be able to get like a Brachiosaurus too. That's just the dinosaur nerd in me talking. I'm almost picturing it like a rainforest cafe, but instead of, the cheap animatronics that you get at a rainforest cafe, you get dinosaur animatronics, sort of like the T-Rex restaurant at Disney Springs, but to a much better scale because we all know Universal takes care of their attractions, except for one in particular, which we will get to on a different episode.
I definitely think that they're also going to be having some type of rotational dining, similar to how Disney has on their cruise line. And I think they're going to have different themed restaurants that would rotate throughout, and your wait staff will follow you just like how it does in Disney. And I think it would definitely have like a Harry Potter restaurant, definitely, of course, the Jurassic Park, like we mentioned.
Yeah, think you can even go further down, as we mentioned earlier in the show, at Back to the Future, where everyone eats in DeLoreans, or even a Jaws theme. I think Jaws is just so appropriate for being on a ship in the middle of the ocean that you could just have a giant shark in the room in the dining, and it would just add to the experience and the ambiance of sailing with Universal.
And of course, on the Lido deck, they're definitely going to be having a Universal movie playing every night.
I hope it's Shrek. Just do Shrek 1, Shrek 2, Shrek 3, Shrek 4. Just have the whole marathon. But, kind of segueing into a different point, though, do you think Universal could almost mimic Disney and set up their own destination islands? Or do you think that could go somewhere else?
Oh, yeah, there definitely would start their own resort. But I'm talking, this would probably be 10, 15 years down the road. But I definitely could see something called like Universal Island of Adventures, but their own private island, not their own park.
That they already own the trademark to Islands of Adventure, so they can just slap it on another island, and you can even make your own Islands of Adventure on Islands of Adventure. I mean, the sea is so limitless for what Universal can do. it's amazing to hear, especially because, you and I, we've been to Universal. You haven't been to Disney yet, but Universal in recent years has become the superior park in certain ways. Now, Disney will always be a classic. People will flock to Disney and spend the hundreds of dollars just to go to Disney. But Universal, one thing that I will note, they know how to take care of their guests. I think Universal does the same way they do their parks. They could make these cruises in the affordable range, because you and I both know a Disney cruise is a luxury at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, Disney cruise is kind of out of most people's budgets. First off, they don't have a casino, and I don't think will go on a cruise ship if they don't have a casino.
So you're listening, Universal, you got to make sure, even if it's a Jurassic Park themed slot machine, or have, someone dressed like Shrek at the craps table, you got to have some sort of casino on that ship.
And of course, you got to have Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. Buy the rights to Buffalo. Make a Buffalo movie, put Buffalo in the park, but just make sure that it's on the ship. But going back to the point is, Universal would know how to take care of their guests and provide them a great experience. I mean, you could even look at their hotel division. There are days where you can stay at Endless Summer, or I believe Port Aventura might have some of these, but more so Endless Summer. You can get a Universal hotel for in the less than $100. You can't get that at Disney hotels anymore. Universal knows how to price it just under Disney so that the average consumer feels like they're getting more. And to the extent, when you and I went to Universal, we were able to ride pretty much every single ride in the park because they're really good with crowd capacity and they're really good taking care of their, fellow patrons. So that's why I think Universal getting into the cruise industry is a perfect idea. That'll do it for this week's episode. As always, you can find us on our YouTube channel. We are the Lido Loop. You can find us on Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jack. That's Jesse. And we will see you on the Lido deck.
Or the casino.